All right, it's confession time, and it's time that I get up off of it and finish a job. I completely had to walk away from this whole project back here of dealing with my limestone. I had a big pile of it. My neighbor came and spread it as best he could. I have so many systems around here that he couldn't get right up to my house, because if you push on this rocks against that skirting is going to collapse and crack. I have a big sewer system trunk line that comes out of my house here and runs under the ground to a little white thing that's right there. It's hard to see, and then out to my systems. So there's a line there. And I've got a meter pole there for my electricity. I've got stepping stones he had to work around. I've got my golf cart plugged up with my little electric line where I plugged it in. I need to unplug that this morning, and then I'm just gonna start taking my wheelbarrow and working on moving these rocks. I've got a pretty big spoil pile over here that's near my electric box. That needs to be flattened out. I've got more spoil piles right here around my stepping stones and all that little embankment there that I need to move against my house. I have still not put my railings on that porch. I have the supplies, I just haven't done it. I don't stop things just because I'm lazy and I quit. I stop things because I have to prioritize what I need to do. And I walked away from this job because it was planting time. I needed to work on doing all the planting of my tomato plants and everything else that I needed to put out this year. And then of course I ran into the trouble with my squirrels. So I ended up having to put things like this everywhere. This is my latest addition, these by my carport. But as you know, I had to do it all over my yard. A lot of infrastructure had to be put in. I just had to get it done. I have little T-post and white post everywhere. You can see I have kind of a T-post graveyard, I call it, but they're everywhere. And once I started doing that and working on putting some black cow and different things in some of my beds, planting out my seedlings, weeding stuff, getting things raked up and ready, getting all this chicken wire and stuff put everywhere, I walked away from a couple of projects. One of them was my fence that's coming off the edge of my house and going all the way and tying into another fence that runs this way. I hadn't done it yet. What I have to do first is run the barbed wire, because the barbed wire is going to start at that wooden post there and it's going to run past these T-posts and it'll wrap around this. So I can't put my gate on until I have my barbed wire wrapped around this post. That's one way. Over here, this opening here is for my smaller gate that we'll just use to get in and out of every day when we need to walk in and out. I had a iron bed frame that I found, but it's got thin piping on it. The iron is very thin, and I'm having trouble finding the right clamp system to clamp it on to where I can eventually slip it onto my little gate hooks right here. I've just looked everywhere. I've looked on the internet, I've looked at the co-ops, and nobody makes smaller than a 1 3/8 inch gate post holder. I need about a 7/8 inch. So I'm gonna figure it out. I'll leave this open right now. I don't really care. What I have to do though is put my barbed wire, about 4 levels of it, wrapped around this post, across that post, and then tie into that post down there. And you have to have all that wrapped and stuff before you start dealing with gate hinges and all. So there it is. There's my big spool of barbed wire. I've got what I need. It's not that I don't have supplies. I'm not waiting on money or anything like that. I've got what I need to get these jobs finished. I've even got my big gate over here purchased and just laying here. And I'm ready to go. I just got to get Lainey over here to do it. I always joke and say there's only one Lainey. There's just only one Lainey. That's all there is. There's one Lainey working on all this. So I've just got to get it done. But I'm going to put this project off another day or so, and I'm working on my limestone today. Things don't have to be perfect. I've said that before. I don't mind if they look like that I completed it. It doesn't have to look like a contractor with a 5-man crew came through here, but I do want it to be functional. I do want it to be to where I'm using it. And right now, I'm having to walk over all these bumps and everything. I avoid walking through here. So I need to get this finished. So I'm going to set my camera up and just work today. I don't really have a time for a lot of talking or anything like that. It's just straight up getting it done. I'm gonna put some loads of all this stuff that's the spoils. I'm putting it out on my driveway in different spots. As it rains every now and then, when it rains, I've been kind of trying to pay attention to exactly where little mud holes get in my driveway, little wet spots, and I'm gonna go put a load of limestone on each of those. But then I'm gonna try to make this be pretty and even. I'm gonna rake some of this in, or put more rocks out here, whatever I have to do to make this line be even and make it have a pretty curve on it. And it'll all work out. It's all gonna work out. It's probably gonna go a little farther back there to make a little curve back there. And it's gonna work out beautifully. I'm not complaining. I've got a wonderful load of limestone here. It's better than the yucky dirt with this pits of grass here and there on it that I had before. It was useless. Nothing would grow there, and the grass wouldn't even hardly grow there, just stubbly looking grass. So this is going to be pretty when it's all done. And if I have energy, if I feel like I can flow into it today without running into the evening too much, I'm going to get my stuff out and maybe at least set up to do that railing. If I don't get it done today, maybe I can get that done first thing in the morning. You know how they say stop and smell the roses sometimes? Well, right now in my yard, it's stop and smell the gardenias. Just take a whiff. Are you familiar with gardenias and what they smell like? Oh my word. These smell so good. I put a picture of them in our house last night so we could enjoy it inside. It's wonderful. I think before I take anything else out on the driveway, I'm gonna go ahead and rake a bunch over here and just see what I have. I would hate to come up short because I've taken it to the driveway. I needed things on the driveway, but I don't want to prioritize that over my little curvature back here and how I want to get it laid out. So I think I'm gonna rake for a little bit and just kind of see what happens. It's hard to see progress on something like this because it's just taken me a while to haul all this. I can't haul a big mounded load in my wheelbarrow. I can't lift it. So I'm only taking about a third of my wheelbarrow full and dumping it and then having to come back. So the progress is slow, but slow and steady gets you there. But I tell you what, it's a beautiful day out here. Windy, I'm not even really sweating, and the birds are just going crazy, and it's just a lovely day down here in South Louisiana. So I'm going to take advantage of it and try to knock this out. Well, I got it done. It took me about 2 hours to do this. It's amazing how we can put off something that can really be done just in a couple hours. I say that all the time because it's amazing to me. I just put this off dreading it. I've got it all the way up to that edge with the little curvature. Smoothed it out all the way around. All these rocks will turn the same color here in a day or so. They just look different because they were on different levels of the surface. And I've got the curvature back there. I think it looks good. It was a bunch of hills and bumps, and now it's smooth. I can walk straight across it smooth, so it just feels so good. And visually, it just makes me, it's like a load off my back. Visually, it's coming together back here. I put the extra row of 3 little tiles down here, little cement tiles that you can stand on. So when you're coming off of these steps, you've got one little level there, and then you just kind of ease down half an inch to an inch at a time. And then at that last step there, I leveled the rocks up against it. So you walk straight onto these rocks. And when I get the railing up there, it'll all just be complete. I've also been thinking though, I may want to do something like right here. I don't like to spend a lot of money or anything, but I may get some type of, I don't know, a nice terracotta, something from an outdoor place or a nursery, and put right there, and put something really pretty and hardy in it, just to have some color and life back here. I've got my little fire pit area over there still, but there's more to the backyard than just that little part, so you want everything to kind of look good. And I just think it'll look very good right there. Or I might shift it a little bit, maybe closer to that pole, so that you can still walk through there very easily. So anyway, this is done. Check, 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 check. Check it off my list. All right. And now I'm going to go in and finish my lunch. Let me show you what I eat for lunch a lot. It's just so good. Well, when I walked inside, it was almost 10 after 2. I had started at 10:30 in the morning, so I had been out there 3.5 hours. I couldn't believe that. I guess time flies when you're having fun. I came in the house a little while ago and went ahead and put some butternut squash on a baking pan. This is the butternut squash I get in the 5-pound bags from Azure, and it's so handy. You just pour it on the pan, put a little salt, put a little olive oil drizzled on it, and toss it, and bake it for 425 as long as you want to. It gets real tender. It's just absolutely delicious. Then when I got through working, I took my little tuna steak that I had been thawing, and I'm going to season it. I get these 6 to a bag at my store for $7.99, so they're only $1.33 each. With the butternut squash, they're delicious. I put lemon pepper on both sides of them. It's so good. That's the only really seasoning I use on them. I think that's just all you need. It just kind of hits the spot, put it on both sides, and then we're going to get the skillet ready and cook it. This is ready in no time. I just have a little individual skillet, and you take some olive oil, just extra virgin olive oil or whatever kind you have. Put a little bit in. You don't need much. You just need enough to cook your little steak in. And then put your steak. You're going to want your skillet a little bit hot. You're kind of frying it quick. But tuna steaks, what you have to do is you kind of have to just watch the bottom of them. And when the color, it starts being kind of whitish gray, that color will kind of rise on the bottom. You want it to rise just a little ways before you flip it, but you kind of need to keep an eye on it. It's coming along. I'm not quite ready to flip it yet, but it's coming along. Now it's about ready for me to flip. Now when you see the little burnt on that side, that's not burnt tuna steak. That's just my lemon pepper that kind of burned. It's delicious. I'm going to cook it this way another minute or so, and then it's ready to take out. You don't want to cook this long, because if you cook it all the way through, the tuna steak will be tough and dry. So you don't want to cook it all the way through. Please trust me. Please just try it one time without cooking it all the way through. If I have any olive oil left at the end, I just pour it right back on the steak. It's delicious. Well, y'all, this is it. If it looks raw and it looks terrible, please trust me, it doesn't taste raw and gross. It's delicious. Please don't dry it out by cooking it all the way through. Just try it this way at least once. It is so good. And this, y'all, is the perfect lunch for me, if you want my opinion. It's just a beautiful vegetable and a tuna steak. And then when you add to it a little glass of sweetened iced tea, oh my gosh, it's great. This is Lainey at Hilltop Home Place. It's been a good day. I hope y'all are having one too. Bye-bye.